What's up again, folks? I made this video a little bit separate because I'm not certain if this news has been put out or has been delivered into effect. So I want to bring what's certain, what's actually going on, and not uh, just fantastical stories. Because I do see some YouTube channels, they have that sort of AI voice, and they have like an AI script, and they kind of just fill in like fillers of conversation like that might have been had uh, in like private space, right, in private office, which no one would know of. But um, it's just kind of ran through an AI and generated a sort of story. They're pretty nice. They usually around last about like 20 minutes or so on YouTube, so you'll probably come across them. Like I said, they AI sounding, AI voice. The information is brought to you how I bring it to you, right? By face and what's actually of news which has occurred. So anyhow, I make this video a little bit separate for that reason, because I don't know if this has actually gone into effect, and it was just more so a forward sending remark, right, of what will be taking action. So anyhow, the African Union, as I just spoke about, which have grown them some teeth, have told the U.S. and the European Union that all flights will be canceled and that all flights will be blocked from flying over any African airspace. That's any country, the entire continent of Africa. Now, I think with that being said, that there will be some permitted flights which would be restricted, I think, through Nigeria hub, Ethiopia, and South Africa. So they are not following those paths. They will be reported and acted upon further from such. So I think this is in effect to go in for probably about at least 72 hours, maybe even a month, until things are sort of spoken about. But anyhow, the sort of disregard to the sovereignty in the airspace of these African countries entering the African continent without notifying the control centers, so letting African countries aware of their approach and entrance, has been noticed. All right, it were reported some finding of aircraft, perhaps coming from the U.S. and the sort of Sahel region around border of Nigeria, and then another sweeping past and exiting into the Middle East, going past the Red Sea. So anyhow, with that being documented and sent to the organization, the AU, again, I have to harp on how great that is, where we have African countries with intercoms to one another and to a station headquarter way out in Addis Ababa, right, Ethiopia, the African Union. Information is being reported too. So this is all under one system, one government, one organization, which is beautiful to see. So after that report, the AU have made their dissatisfaction in their statement to the EU, and have given very very serious consequence, which will be of the time until there is respect and there is further, I guess, alleviation of the issue which has been occurring, right? So anyhow, I'm gonna get to that clip with y'all, and y'all tell me what y'all think about that, man. Y'all excited about all this or what? Because I surely am.
USA and Europe banned from African skies. All flights canceled. By Takunda Mabika, Supreme Africa Breaking News, SABN. Africa is no longer just talking about sovereignty. Africa is flying it, literally. Part 1. The order no one saw coming. Our insider, Chairman Shadow, has leaked to SABN what could be one of the boldest African Union moves in recent years. Late last night, the One Africa Air Command, a newly consolidated AU aviation authority, issued an emergency directive. Effective immediately, all US and European commercial, cargo, and military aircraft are banned from African skies until further notice. This wasn't a public press conference. There were no smiling ministers shaking hands. This was a sealed, classified transmission sent to all African airspace controllers at 2:13 a.m. Addis Ababa time. By sunrise, international flights from Paris to Dakar, New York to Lagos, and London to Nairobi were canceled mid-boarding. Why? The official reason listed was security protocol upgrades. But as always, the official reason is only half the story. Part 2. The real trigger. 2 mystery flights. According to Chairman Shadow, AU radar systems, now upgraded with Chinese Beidou satellite tracking and Russian GLONASS precision mapping, picked up 2 unidentified aircraft entering African skies last week without clearance. One of the flights allegedly flew over the Sahel region, close to AU military installations linked to the One Africa Army. The other skirted over the Indian Ocean coast of Somalia before disappearing from AU radar, only to reappear in the Mediterranean. Insiders suspect these weren't just lost tourist planes. Both were traced back to NATO-aligned nations. African security analysts believe they were conducting surveillance runs, possibly linked to AU gold reserves, Afrinet infrastructure nodes, or troop movements in East Africa. Part 3. The AU's secret new airspace command. Here's where it gets interesting. This band didn't come from a single African country. It came from the newly formed One Africa Air Command, OAAC. The OAC is a centralized air traffic and security system headquartered in Addis Ababa, directly under AU control. It links all African radar, satellite, and drone systems into a single network, meaning no more individual country clearances for foreign flights. From now on, a flight from Paris to Dakar doesn't just need Senegal's approval, it needs AU approval. And with this ban, that approval is officially revoked for all US and European flights. Part 4. Airports in chaos. By 7 a.m., scenes of confusion were spilling out across African airports. At OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg, passengers for a morning Air France flight to Paris were met with a flight cancelled sign flashing red. In Lagos, a KLM flight had already boarded when crew were informed they had no permission to enter African skies once airborne. Passengers had to disembark. In Nairobi, 2 U.S. cargo planes were grounded, their holds filled with electronics, rare earth minerals, and frozen produce destined for American markets. One SABN source described it as like an air traffic earthquake. Part 5. The billionaire factor. Chairman Shadow says the push for AU air sovereignty didn't come from politicians alone. African billionaires in aviation and telecoms, people like Strive Masiyiwa, Liquid Telecoms, Ibrahim Mahama, engine manufacturing, and Patrice Motsepe, infrastructure finance, have been lobbying for control over African skies for years. Why? Because air routes aren't just for passengers, they're data highways, cargo lifelines, and geopolitical choke points. If Africa controls its airspace as a single block, it can 1. Set transit fees that benefit Africa, not foreign air alliances. 2. Block military overflights that undermine African security. 3. Protect infrastructure projects like Afrinet and AfroGold shipments. Part 6. The espionage angle. One of the most explosive claims in this leak is that US and European intelligence agencies have been moving surveillance equipment disguised as commercial cargo through African airports. Chairman Shadow says that in early August, AU security intercepted a shipment from Brussels to Accra containing what appeared to be farm machinery. When scanned, it revealed long-range communications intercept gear, exactly the kind used to tap mobile networks. The AU quietly let the shipment pass, but the incident was filed in a classified report that later justified the current airspace ban. Part 7. Border Patrol in the Sky. This is where the story turns cinematic. Sources inside the AU say One Africa Air Command has scrambled fighter jets in several regions to physically patrol African skies. Eyewitnesses in Djibouti reported 2 Sukhoi jets streaking over the Gulf of Aden this morning, accompanied by a pair of AU reconnaissance drones. In West Africa, a similar patrol was spotted over Senegalese airspace. The AU's message is clear. We own our sky now. Part 8. What this means for you. For ordinary Africans, this might seem far removed, until you realize what it could mean for travel, trade, and security. Ticket prices for African airlines could drop if they capture the market share of banned carriers. Cargo costs could rise temporarily while African logistics firms step in. Security could improve if the AU really does shut down foreign espionage flights. But there's also a risk. Western countries could retaliate by banning African airlines from their skies. Part 9. The official AU position. In a short, carefully worded statement issued this morning, AU spokesperson Dr. Amina Sori said, "The African Union is conducting a comprehensive security audit of all foreign airspace access protocols. We remain committed to safe, transparent, and mutually respectful air travel partnerships. Translation: we'll reopen the skies when the West accepts our rules." Part 10. The bigger picture. Make no mistake, this isn't just about planes. It's about sovereignty in the modern age. If Africa can control who flies over it, it can also control who extracts resources, who builds infrastructure, and who listens to our conversations. This ban is a test of Africa's ability to act as a united geopolitical force. Whether the skies reopen in 2 days or 2 months, the message has been sent. Africa is no longer a free-for-all air corridor. Part 11. Comedy Corner. Trevor Noah style. You know the funniest part? Somewhere in Paris, a French tourist is telling his friends, "Sorry guys, Africa won't let me come visit." And his friends are like, "Bro, you should have gone last year when it was free entry." Now they have bouncers at the clouds. Or picture an American pilot circling just outside Moroccan airspace, calling AU air traffic control, hi, can we come in? And the AU officer replies, did you bring gold? No? Then keep circling. Part 12, what's next? Our sources suggest this ban will last at least 72 hours, but some in the AU Security Council are pushing for a full 30-day review. If the West refuses to comply with new airspace agreements, this could escalate into a permanent restriction. Imagine, in a few years, all flights to Africa being routed through African-controlled hubs in Addis Ababa, Johannesburg, or Lagos, with AU Customs and Security clearing every passenger and cargo manifest. That's not just sovereignty, that's power. Tisu Vanhu Vacho. Africa is not just taking back its land and its gold. Africa is taking back its sky.